The stars will shine bright at Daytona next month. Jimmy is back, Truex reunites with a familiar face, and Cleetus McFarland? How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove. Today is January 16th. 1 month exactly until the 67th annual Daytona 500. Fitting then that today we would see a flurry of Daytona-related news. Let's break it all down. First, a popular YouTuber has entered the ARCA Daytona race next month. No, not me. No. But I'm flattered that you would even think that I would be capable of racing in the draft around 30 plus other cars. No. I'm talking about someone far more famous, frankly, far more talented than I am, Cleetus McFarland. We've got Cleetus racing at Daytona before GTA 6. He posted a video of his experience at the ARCA test a couple weeks ago on his YouTube channel to his more than 4 million subscribers. Good video, complete with some Greg Biffle cameos. I love that he's just wearing a 3M hoodie like it's still 2012. After successfully completing the ARCA test earlier this month, Cleetus McFarland, whose real name is Garrett Mitchell, will compete for Rhett Jones Racing in next month's ARCA 200 at Daytona International Speedway. Pretty cool to see. I encourage you to check out his full video. You may have already seen it. It has over 800,000 views in less than a day. I know Cleetus has raced before. I don't know that he's raced anything quite like Daytona, so this will be a daunting task, but I also know fans will love following along. The car he's in should be competitive. And this year's Daytona race is on Big Fox the day before the Daytona 500. So will be interesting to see if there's like a Cleetus bump in the ratings. Any amount of new eyeballs on the ARCA Menard series is very good for the ARCA Menard series. So that was some pretty cool news to see this week. But now let's talk Daytona 500. Let's get to the biggest of the big leagues. Jimmie Johnson makes it official. He will attempt the Daytona 500 in the number 84 Legacy Motor Club Toyota, sponsored once again by Carvana. The two-time Daytona 500 champion was able to race his way into last year's event thanks to a last lap pass getting by JJ Yaley. With all due respect to JJ, the competition this year will be even fiercer. We'll talk more about that in a moment. Jimmie Johnson also confirmed he will attempt this year's Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte Memorial Day weekend. So 2 Crown Jewel races, arguably the 2 biggest races of the NASCAR Cup Series season. That is Jimmy's 2025 schedule. Worth noting that last season he made 9 Cup Series starts. So his 2025 schedule is looking relatively thin. I actually think that's a good decision. Jimmy has said in the past that when they would bring a third car to the track last year, it would kind of spread Legacy Motor Club a little more thin. They can't afford that right now. Right now, Legacy Motor Club needs to dedicate 99% of their focus to the 42 and 43 cars. They struggled to find speed last year. Anything that distracts from those 2 full-time entries is not a good plan. So Jimmie Johnson, I think, is playing it smart. Only making 2 cup starts, choosing the 2 biggest races, the biggest purses, the 2 races that are maybe easiest to sell sponsor for. Pick those races, go have fun, continue to build your legacy, but then the rest of the year, the other 36 weeks, build Legacy Motor Club. Focus on the 2 full-time cars that right now need all of the team's focus. Still, it's always good to see Jimmie Johnson, a living NASCAR legend, back at the racetrack. Martin Truex Jr. also confirmed his Daytona 500 plans today. He will attempt the Daytona 500 in the number 56 Tricon Garage Toyota. 56 is the same number he raced at Michael Waltrip Racing between like 2010 and 2013. I guess the 78 was taken by Live Fast. Bass Pro Shops will be on the hood, longtime Truex sponsor, and a familiar face, Cole Pearn, returns to the pit box. That's right, that Truex had mentioned Cole Pearn a while back, but it's now official. Martin Truex Jr. and Cole Pearn, who won the 2017 Cup Series championship together, will reunite to attempt this year's Daytona 500. That is a great story. I'm smiling not because I'm a huge Martin Truex Jr. super fan. No, I am very objective on this show. I'm excited though because I know Martin Truex Jr. fans have to be thrilled with this announcement. Like, as a Matt Kenseth fan, this would almost be as if Kenseth came back to run the Daytona 500 in the 17 DeWalt Ford with Robbie Reiser on the box. If that happened, I would be stoked. Oh my gosh, I would be ecstatic. So I imagine Martin Truex Jr. fans are feeling pretty good this morning. That's why I'm excited. Martin Truex Jr. and Cole Pearn were a dominant duo for 5 consecutive years. They turned that little team in Denver, Colorado into a force to be reckoned with and continued some of that success over at Joe Gibbs Racing at the end of their tenure. 24 wins in 5 seasons. When I think of the most dominant driver-crew chief duos of the past 15, 20 years, obviously you think of Jimmy and Chad. I'd say maybe Kevin Harvick, Rodney Childers, Kyle Busch and Adam Stevens had a couple title runs, but Martin Truex Jr. and Cole Pearn have to be in that conversation. Martin Truex Jr. had some really good years post Cole Pearn. 2021 comes to mind. He was an untimely caution and blazing fast Hendrick pit stop away from winning the championship that season. But that being said, I don't think Martin Truex Jr. was ever quite the same after Cole Pearn stepped away. So to see this duo reunited, I hope they can make some magic happen at Daytona next month. They will have to qualify, however. They are not guaranteed into the race. Let's take a look at my updated Daytona 500 open entry chart. Woo! The 44, the 78, the 62, the 91, the Junior Motorsports 40, the Legacy 84, and now the Tricon 56, all confirmed. And you still got a couple of unconfirmed entries off to the side there that could easily show up and make the dual races even more complicated. In just the last 24 hours, a Hendrick co-owned team, Junior Motorsports, has entered the Daytona 500, and now a Joe Gibbs adjacent team, Tricon, has entered the Daytona 500. That's some serious firepower. Of course, Legacy Motor Club, Trackhouse, fielding open entries. I still think Team Chevy will have the advantage in single car qualifying. I said the stat yesterday, but 8 of the past 10 Daytona 500 pole winners have come from Hendrick Motorsports. Junior Motorsports, they're co-owned by Rick Hendrick. Trackhouse Project 91, Hendrick engines under the hood. I would lean towards the 40 and the 91, potentially locking in on speed, which means the Toyotas of Jimmy and Truex may have to race their way in through the duels, and anything can happen on Thursday night. One thing I know for sure is that the duel races just got a lot more interesting, and that's why I cringe when I see fans suggest that NASCAR should just let them in. Extend the field to 43 cars once again. Everyone's locked into the 500. What if Jimmy or Truex or Justin Allgaier with Junior Motorsports have to go home? That would suck. Yes, it would. But it also means the duel races mean something. I understand the argument. You want the big names in the biggest race, and let's be honest, qualifying into the Daytona 500 isn't really on the driver's shoulders. It's about the car on Wednesday night, and Thursday, it's often about whether or not you miss the big wreck. So I get that, but we have to decide as a fan base if we want the dual races to stick around. If we lock in every big name into the Daytona 500 every year, the duels are meaningless at that point. There's no point in running the twin 150s anymore. It's expensive for the teams who might crash their equipment especially. It doesn't pull in a huge TV rating. Shoot, this year I don't even think they have a title sponsor, at least as of yet. And let's be honest, starting position for the Daytona 500 doesn't mean anything. With fuel saving nowadays, guys go from 30th to 1st in half a stage. I mean, see BJ McLeod a couple times last year. So we have to decide, do we want the Thursday night dual race tradition to continue? Do we want those races to mean something? Or do we want to just get rid of them? Take the night off? I am on this side of the fence. Look, we've already neutered speed weeks enough as it is. Gotten rid of testing, gotten rid of different practice sessions. The duels already don't mean as much as they used to. I don't want to take even more meaning away from them. I want there to be storylines on Thursday night. That builds up hype for the biggest race of the season. Martin Truex Jr. with Cole Pearn, Jimmy Johnson, Justin Allgaier with Junior Motorsports trying to qualify into the biggest race. That's a storyline to follow Wednesday and Thursday. Y'all know me, I root for storylines. If we lock every big name into the field, effectively get rid of the dual races, we just lost out on some huge storylines. We just eliminated competition. The way it is now is not perfect, but at least the dual races still have a purpose today. I don't want that to change. I'm wishing Jimmy and Truex and Allgaier, everyone, the best of luck, but the truth of the matter is several are going to go home. So either nail your qualifying setup or mash the gas and hope for the best in the Thursday night duels. So much news today. We'll cover some of it tomorrow. Right now, everyone's talking about Daytona. We're talking about the 500. Practice, qualifying, the duel races. We're talking about ARCA, testing, who's approved to race what. Before we go, I have to mention Mike Wallace one more time. Mike did an interview with Toby Christie, tobychristie.com, where he once again expressed frustration with NASCAR's decision not to approve him for the Daytona 500. He also made a Facebook post, but here's what Toby reported. Mike Wallace tells me he is heartbroken by NASCAR's decision to not allow him to compete at Daytona, and that he badly wanted to pay tribute to his wife Carla, who passed away last year, and to share a family photo on Daytona pit road with his kids and grandkids. Wallace then made a lengthy post on Facebook and included a screenshot of an email he received from an unnamed NASCAR executive as evidence, I suppose, that NASCAR had said he was good to go, that everything was okay for him to run the Daytona 500. This was the email he posted from an unnamed NASCAR exec. They say, "Good morning. I don't anticipate any issue and will present to the group January 7th. If something comes up, I'll be sure to let you, Mike Wallace, know." So, okay, look, I hate that this continues to be a storyline. The fact of the matter is, a 65-year-old who has not raced any oval, big or small, in 10 years should not be automatically approved to run the Daytona 500, the biggest, most prestigious, arguably the most dangerous race on the NASCAR schedule. NASCAR made SVG run the ARCA race so they could approve him for the Xfinity Daytona race. I do feel really bad for Mike Wallace, but I'm sorry, the Daytona 500 is not a photo op. And that email he shared did not read like a confirmation to me. That read like a, hey, I don't see any issues, but I'll present to the people who actually make the decision here soon and we'll let you know. Remember, all this communication is going on during the Christmas New Year's break. Could NASCAR's communication been better? Yes, sure. And I genuinely feel bad for Mike Wallace that there was some confusion here. But we are talking about the premier race for the premier racing series in America. They have to maintain a standard. I would love to see Mike Wallace get on track somewhere, somehow over the next few months. I would love to see Mike Wallace back at Daytona next year, whether that's in an ARCA, Truck, Xfinity, or maybe by next year he would even get approved for a Cup Series ride. I'd love to see Mike Wallace give it a go. Show us what he's still got. But the truth of the matter is NASCAR made the right decision not approving him for this year's Daytona 500. This goes back to what we just talked about with the duels. The Daytona 500 is supposed to be a really big freaking deal. Not anyone can just show up and race it. If you're a part-time team, part-time driver, you've got to race your way in. You have to qualify. The Daytona 500 is supposed to be this huge, prestigious thing. There needs to be a level of competition that is maintained. So that's all. That's all I wanted to say about this. Those are just my final thoughts. That's my feel. I feel bad for Mike Wallace. NASCAR, there was some miscommunication there, no doubt, but they made the right decision in the end. I don't think this needs to be a big storyline going forward, at least not in my opinion. But that's just my take. Let me know if you disagree down in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe for more NASCAR discussion all year long. Regular season right around the corner. Big thank you to my Patreon supporters as well for always supporting the show. I greatly appreciate each and every one of you. I will see you again very soon. Thanks for watching, y'all.